What makes The World Ends With You unique? The Nintendo DS has cemented its place in history as the highest-selling handheld game console, with over 150 million units sold. Developers of all kinds knew that it was worth the investment to make games for the console, leading to a very large lineup to choose from. With fierce competition, being considered a top title for the system is an illustrious achievement. In 2007, Square Enix released The World Ends With You to the DS, which received overwhelmingly positive reviews and shook the entire console's library. Opting to create a brand new title, The World Ends With You, or TWUI, was a big risk from the Final Fantasy developer, but it ultimately paid off as the title is considered one of the best games on the system. What makes The World Ends With You unique is how it manages to push the boundaries of the DS system and matches it with a new take on the typical RPG framework. Set in the Shibuya district of Tokyo, TWUI has an unusual setting, especially when considered to Square Enix's typical medieval or steampunk-themed worlds. Shibuya is a large shopping district known for its trendy clothing and bustling streets of pedestrians. The main character, Neku, plays the role of an antisocial teenager who wouldn't be caught dead in such a loud and noisy place. Throughout the game, Neku must partake in something called the Reaper's Game, which involves completing daily objectives over a week in order to prove his existence. The premise as a whole is very new for the RPG and even visual novel genres. Playing as a character that is not likable but yet relatable is dropped into a location that wouldn't normally be the site of an adventure. The game constantly bombards players with information. It can be hard to follow, but yet the confusion is part of the immersion, as the shopping district is known for being a chaotic mess. Between the many different landmarks, shops, and enemies to face, Shibuya becomes an intricate world to dig through, with trends changing depending on district, shops that will treat players differently the more they purchase, and blockades set by the Reapers. The game manages to capture not only the sense of an RPG, but also builds a living, breathing world that feels like Tokyo. The enemies encountered are referred to as noise, which represents both Neku's hate for society and the actual mental noise that clouds the minds of everyone. In a densely populated area, there is a lot of noise that Neku and his companions must overcome. The combat is easily the biggest feature of the game. In most DS titles, one screen is used for gameplay and the other is a stats screen or a map. In TWUI, however, combat happens on both screens at the same time. Neku on the bottom screen is controlled with the stylus, and his partner fights on the top screen with a combination of inputs on the D-pad. It seems easy to explain, but having to switch focus as a player proves to be difficult and at times disorienting. Later enemies pose a threat with how hard it is to pay attention to their movements. Neku is the main focus in combat, however, and has a variety of attacks that use the touchscreen. Some attacks involve swiping, tapping, or drawing, but strategy comes from customizing what moves Neku is able to use. The equipment in the game comes from these special pins that hold attacks within them. There are only a few slots that players can use at any one time. These moves dictate what motions work in battle and what they do. Players have to find a variety of moves that work together, fit the situation at hand, or see if they're trending, to which affects damage output. Even for the RPG genre, TWUI manages to make a confusing yet compelling scenario. Pins can't just be broken down to sheer numbers, there's room for action elements, but DPS still plays a role in combat despite how difficult it is to pay attention. Equipment in the game is scarce, and players would be lucky if they're even allowed to wear the items they purchase. The complicated features in the game would normally be a negative point, but because of the theme of the game, being lost and baffled seems like the perfect empathetic feeling to have throughout the journey. There is just so much going on in the game, and even trying to simplify all the concepts and ideas into a short video doesn't truly capture how big and confusing the game feels. From the art style seeming cluttered to the hectic combat and the loads of other random gameplay features, the game somehow took a mess of ideas and made the idea of being lost and confused the theme of the game. It's a story that lives in the realm of fantasy, yet characters and locations are based fully in reality. TWUI manages to tell an innovative story. The plot, setting, and combat all work together into this beautiful tale about popularity, society, and introversion. With a fun take on the presentation with its fantasy-style outfits and pop music soundtrack, it's the kind of game that relates to players and society. And that is what makes The World Ends With You unique. If you enjoyed the wonderful graphics in this video and around the channel, they were all done by WhaddupNico, a fantastic Dutch graphic designer. You can find a link to his work in the description below. He has done awesome work for many YouTubers and is super down to earth and very accommodating. If you enjoyed this video, click that like button, and if you'd like to see more videos that discuss what makes any video game stand out, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.